streaming. And I'm going to quickly, yep, we are now streaming. Yes, all right. All right, I want to say hello to all our readers and viewers for the Boston Poetry Marathon 2021. I am Suzanne Mercury, and our technical host for this hour is Xtina Strong. So thank you, Xtina. And our organizers for this year's Boston Poetry Marathon online for 2021 are me, and Christine Liu, Xtina Strong, and Bridget Eileen. I want to thank all of our organizers. Thank you also to our volunteers for the weekend, Gilmore Tamney, Daniel Pritchett, Tom Daly, Joe Elliott, Douglas Rothschild, Brendan Lorbear, and Chad Partenow, who is a special assistant to Carol Weston. Thank you, everyone. We are streaming live to our Facebook page at Boston Poetry Marathon, our Twitter via Periscope at Boss Poetry Mara, and live to our YouTube channel. For links to these broadcasts, please go to the Boston Poetry Marathon.wordpress.com/watch. This year's Boston Poetry Marathon is a fundraiser for local organizations that work for racial justice and support the Black Lives Matter and Stop Asian Hate movements. Donations are going to go to Sister Fire Rhode Island, the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts, and the Boston Chinatown Neighborhood Center. Admission to the Boston Poetry Marathon is free, but a $10 or more donation to our fundraiser is recommended and deeply appreciated. And I want to thank everyone who's donated so far. It's been wonderful, and we're so grateful. Please go to bostonpoetrymarathon.wordpress.com/donate for more information, and go to the pin post or the bios in our social media for these links as well. Now, I'm going to introduce the readers of the hour right now, and they'll give a quick hello so that we can double check their audio connection. Here we go, guys. One more time. Kat Dossett.
Hello.
Richard Hoffman. Richard Hoffman, are you there?
Hello, yeah, I just had to unmute.
Oh, yeah, okay. Melissa Christine Goodrum.
Hello.
Yay. Christine Tierney.
Hey.
Jessica DeConnick.
Hello.
Hamdi Mohammed.
Hello.
Dennis Nurksi.
Hello.
Samuel Ace. Not here yet. Jessica Bozick.
Hello.
Meg Tyler. Meg Tyler, are you here? I guess she's not. Okay, here we go. So, let's see. Hold on. Okay, so first reader of the hour is Kat Dossett.
Hello.
Everyone else, please mute yourself.
Thank you. Shall I begin or?
Yes, please do.
Thank you. Hello, friends. My name is Kat Dossett. I'm a writer and artist based in Boston. This is my third year reading at the Boston Poetry Marathon, and you can find me online under the handle About a Daughter. My first poem is a poem that's based on a dream. I consistently have strange and vivid dreams because my mattress is from IKEA and I insist on eating snacks before bed. I should also mention that I've written a comic on Laika, who's partially a subject of the poem. She's the first dog in space, and her tragedy is always on my mind. This is called The Rescue. I dreamt a rocket strained against the sky. It was a rescue mission, a last-ditch effort to gather the remains of Laika. It was all on TV. Plummeting now, the astronauts braced themselves. I dreamt we waited for a table, a tourist trap in the big city. Animals roamed the tables, nuzzling the knees of diners waiting for a booth. A three-headed dog fought for my hand. Sleeping, I never suffer affronts. When I dragged Dad away, I produced a dream trick. Bundle of cash as payment and a burst of confidence as I whistled for Labrador Cerberus. Waiter shrugged. Dad waited by the car. The second poem is a pandemic poem. St. Anthony the Hermit, Harvard Art Museum's Pandemic 2020. Alone now in the darkened gallery, An altarless man made of lindenwood hovers. Life begets life. Tree rings line the mantle folds that hint, perhaps, of candle smoke. Lost are his hands, glue of fat and bone long worn away. His trademarks of sainthood dropped. The book, the bell, the crutch. Lost is the vaulted ceiling, the chanting, the prayers. What nave have you to stare down? What sinner's eyes to meet? This valley of riches, of guilt, of hinged altar pieces, left behind once by that hermit saint, and the worms that bore into his feet, the final temptations of Saint Anthony. These last two poems are quite short, and I wrote them on my commute to work. Let's see. This summer has been exceptionally rainy, as you probably know, living in Boston. And as I walk to work, I get really upset seeing stranded, slimy little creatures on the sidewalk. So this is called woodcocks. Luring worms to the surface, a woodcock bobs, slaps the earth. Do worms evade my thumping boots? Plucked from sidewalk to soil, do they know hand from beak? And then this poem I found in my drafts, and it's very short, but I kind of like it. And it's my last poem, called Knotweed. Japanese knotweed grows 8 inches a day. If you stare at it long enough, could you watch it grow? When you lie before me, untangled, I watch you unfurl. That's all.
Thank you, Kat. That was a wonderful reading. Next up is Richard Hoffman.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. The first 2 poems I'm going to read will be out in the new Lily Poetry Review, number 6, which I was spending my afternoon reading the proofs of that. And it's an incredible gathering of poets. This is called Betrayal. It begins with an epigraph from Whitman. One's self I sing, a simple, separate person. Earth's tragicomic bricolage, I am imagined, of necessity and desire. Oh, and fear, mustn't forget fear. So I see angels jutting from corbels and cornices, their appearance suggested by air conditioners high above the avenues as the planet reaches combustion temperature and a bit of friction here or there burns down a city of people reading, playing, cooking, sleeping, sharing their innocent puzzlement, telling one another their neighborly lies. Shrieking mirror neurons split the atoms belonging to me, belonging to you, and corruption runs in the gutters and celebrates itself, laughing and only mildly ashamed. Now everyone can see the future as if possessed of powers they never had before, though most refuse. My country, 'tis a giant clock above a loud arena of applauding victims and children without the choice not to believe. This is a poem referencing an old film called Fantastic Voyage. It was a classic science fiction film in which a sort of posse of scientists are miniaturized, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and inserted into the human body. This makes that its starting point. Fantastic Voyage. It's in 3 sections. Like one of the characters from that old matinee, I am inside the heart, but somehow it is my own heart, and I am inside a humming room, waiting before a round door I know to be a valve that will admit a flood of the past, a forceful torrent of what is depleted, the valve like a spaceship's airlock. And before I open it, I must unlock the corresponding valve in the far wall, which I understand is the future, and stand back, or history will drown me. 2. There are these griefs, you see, starved, desiccated as the tiny corpses of insects left in abandoned webs that quiver with my movements. Here in this creaky attic or cellar, someplace I don't visit often enough to recognize the things I have piled there haphazardly. Anything of worth I ever found here, I found looking for something else among the things I chose to store away for some other easier life. 3. Inside me are places where conclusions and confessions are conjecture, because the dead have left behind them a film of sticky shame and a granulated record of deeds and misdeeds, like the residue of sleep around the eyes each morning. Merrily, 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 I pull the cord to try to start the engine, but my little boat drifts downstream toward the falls highlighted on the map. Maybe it won't be so bad. I would like to read at least one more. You'll alert me if I'm running out of time, Suzanne. This is called A Weathered Boat.
You have 1 minute.
Thank you. A weathered boat. In the cove, in brackish mud, in blowing reeds, sun on the flashing water, is a weathered boat. I'm here, bewildered, where my limits left me. The wind smells of salt and of fires far away. What if this is only the memory collecting part of a pilgrimage to a tragic but revealing context? I can chart day's speed with a stick in the ground, but night is more perplexing and I am frightened. There is shelter, but it takes too long to get there. None of the canceled animal generations made it. I hope these will be ancestral times for someone, a demonstration, all these deaths, of what not to do. I don't believe there is a plan, but there's a shape. That cormorant disappearing for a fish knows that. My eyes have roamed in yours as deeply as I can. If ending is beginning, I'll be waiting for you there. Thanks.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, Richard Hoffman. Next up is Melissa Christine Goodrum. Let's hear it for Melissa.
Well, hello, and thank you, thank you, thank you. So in 1816, all of these weather phenomena combined to create a summer that didn't have any sun in Europe. And so Lord Byron wrote a poem about this called Darkness. And I felt connected to that poem recently. So my response to that is called 1816, 1918, 1939, and 2020 in honor of Lord Byron. We had a collective nightmare that was not at all a dream. The outdoors was off limits and the stars, surprisingly enough, did not disappear completely from the city skies. Without people, without trains, buses, and yellow taxi cabs, without mean traffic on lined streets, without air traffic, without the crowd of bridges and tunnels, the stars returned, tightly twinkling, alight and ruthless, They returned over all the skies and empty streets of Brooklyn. The zoo creatures roamed chainless, untamed, and free. Many sea turtles were born outside, and they lived on an unfettered beach in Bangladesh. Red-crowned birds squawked loudly at the rise of the morning sun, and still no people came, for their doors were sealed, their internets humming, and yet the news reports continued on, and we did live by delivery, food, fresh, canned, the rare and sacred, oh, toilet paper, pained FaceTime prayers. I lost. Pained FaceTime prayers from our mothers, furtive emojis from our siblings, and news, fake or real, we could not tell. We feared the news. World kings hid in bunkers. World kings were born liars, and world kings birthed death by spilling colorful bigotry. World kings spread xenophobia, their bodies unctuous, and so firstly inoculated and protected in glowing darkness. Wore buttons under lock and key at the ready, smell the clarity of asthmatic bleach and the dishonor of specious blasphemy against others of this, our humankind. World kings were born liars. The journalists were made liars. The corporations bred these liars. Who is listening to the prisoners? Who is listening to the damned? The mentally ill weakly whistling from their makeshift homes as their delusions become walking true and roaming and roam the empty streets. Like waking racists voicing my grandmother's worst nightmares, back to nightmares aloud after 150-year hibernation. But I remember, oh yes, I remember. I am the mouse. I am the brown mouse outside of Marcianne's house, and I run and I run and I hide under the large, sturdy objects her leavelings leave behind. Her leavelings look alike a bit, but they quake the earth differently. And I run with my brown brothers and sisters, and I run with my brown mother, and I do not know my brown father's fortune, but I do know the floorboards under Marcianne's house, and inside her house there is warmth, and inside her room there is heat. I am the brown mouse. I am the brown mouse inside of Marcianne's house, and I long to find the path to her outside again. And I remember the rose bushes. They smelled so sweetly before she had a long-legged one come and remove the roots. And I run and I run and I used to hide under those roots. They smelled so sweetly, but it was dangerous. My mother caught a sword in her back. My mother bled from an opening in her back, hiding underneath the sweet-smelling black roots. It took ages to mend the opening. We removed the sword and ran and ran. Mother ran slowly after that. One of the leavelings almost captured her on the slow day. It was singing a song and stumbling along. The itsy bitsy spider ran down the water spout. The sun was hiding. The water began to pour from all over. We were bathing in the miracle when we heard the song and knew it would find us, try to trap us, and do who knows what with us. We are the brown mouse family outside of Marcianne's tall brown brick house. My mother still runs slowly. Father's fortune is still unknown, but we know to hide from the leavelings. We know to hide from the fast one they call Appa. We are the brown mice outside of Marcianne's house, and we will persist. So I've received my 1-minute warning. Let's see, I tend to write longish poems. So I think I'll read this little one. And then we saw the daughter of the Minotaur in the center, a minty petaled tissue with a flower for a face, eyes, 2 small buddings, meet and grown in a sculpted valley, above the nose and gill-like whiskers, a plum robe drapes and obscures in most intimate features. A thin and graceful wrist reaches across the tilting card table towards the myriad of mystic globoids of all sizes. Hold onto this angled plane by a butterfly-dusted tablecloth. Everything looks dusted by wings. Nothing looks permanent or stable. The 2 children are hungry and pale and hooded. Perhaps they were the Grimm brothers, thought to have suffered abandonment as toddlers. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Melissa. And next up is Jessica DeKoning. Oh, no, excuse me, Christine Tierney, sorry. Let's hear it for Christine.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there you are.
Okay. Hello. Thanks for having me back. Appreciate it. I am going to be reading from my new book, Chicken plus lowercase equals Fleur, which came out from Lily Poetry Review Press. And the only thing that you need to know is that you'll hear LC in lowercase, and that's a character, a female character that was created for the book. So the first poem is called Get a Friggin' Grip. Get a friggin' grip. This ain't no rose, no sickly sweet lilac, just a slump that imposes with its bend and hogs all the sun. Still, LC's compelled to figure this one out. She's a sucker for hidden beauty, the dank, fatty pores, the SOS-y limbs, and the parts that poke like the curled-in tips of burnt stars. Every day since this obsession began, LC has been pacing the grounds where they spawn, digging into everything like a crack rabbit. Big, brooding, scentless fleurs, the death of them everywhere, and her sumptuous love for their jaw-dropping corpses. Minnowfish. This is called Minnowfish. Lowercase sits at the kitchen table drawing her signature puppies. Heavy, black circled cheeks, great lap of a tongue. Lowercase's mother dries the last dish, covers what's left of the pot roast with a sheet of aluminum foil, and joins her at the table. Lowercase's mother crayons a red fish and begins cutting it out with lowercase's pint-sized scissors. Remember the minnow fish at Pepper Lake, says lowercase's mother, how they shimmered. Lowercase slouches. Lowercase's mother continues cutting. The refrigerator whirs, the strawberry clock above the stove burbles. Again, lowercase's mother asks her about the fish at Pepper Lake, and lowercase doesn't answer. Lowercase stares at her mother's beige fingers, distant, tarnished rings. A thick, greasy film settles. Lowercase's mother finishes cutting out her fish. The hovering light is excruciatingly yellow. Lowercase's mother gets up from the kitchen table and places the fish in lowercase's lap and says, "I'm done." Lowercase sits with the flimsy minnow congealed and quiet. Lowercase's mother unties her faded apron and dissolves from the kitchen like organdy mist. Lowercase holds the paper creature up to the dangling light. The minnowfish curls in the pulse of her hand and flops to the floor, a bloodless appendage. This is called Even During the Silent Treatments, They Make Noise. Curled knees against shag carpet, TV dinners, foil tops crushed into hockey pucks, ponytails with scraggled seams torn up the back, LC's dad scraping mac and cheese from a cold pot. For 3 days, they'd swipe pennies from the decanter in the pantry. For 3 days, they'd pretend mom wasn't in her room. Breakfast on the coffee table in the den. Sword fights with Hot Wheels tracks and slotted spoons. And this is my final poem. And it is called Truths and Half-Truths About Sunflowers. 1, there are 2 kinds of sunflowers. The sunflowers you find in books and poems, and the sunflowers that chew through phone wire. 2, when a sunflower looks at itself in the mirror, it does not see gold or ochre or tourmaline. 3, most believe that sunflowers move towards the light. Lowercase believes that light moves towards the sunflowers. 4, with stems as thick as femurs. 5, the scratching you hear at night is not the cat or wind or the flaccid branches of the silk tree. 6, never leave sunflowers alone with purple lovegrass, pink parfait roses, or baby's breath. 7, what is the difference between a slouch and a lurch? 8, Slaked with fuzz and blue-green rot, a sunflower will still have the strength to hobble to the foot of your bed. 9. On the 27th day of this insufferable heat, lowercase will no longer know where the sunflower ends and everything else begins. Thank you.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Christine. And next up is Jessica DeKoning. Let's hear it for Jessica.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the organizers of the Boston Poetry Marathon. It's such a wonderful fundraiser to be able to participate in. I'm going to read some poems from a manuscript I'm working on called After Babel. The first poem is the title poem of the collection. It appeared in Tiferet. After Babel. There is a common language I cannot master, though it was my first. English came second. I do not know the nouns of this language or its syntax. I cannot conjugate its verbs, but rivers speak it, as do bones and bottles left for recycling, the geese in the lake, screen doors, peach trees, ambulances, trolley cars, and kettles. It is there in the static of stars. But I remain dumb. If I could speak this tongue, if I had its vocabulary, if I knew its tune, I could tell you, and you would understand. Bridle path. In downtown Asbury Park, a horse and rider trot alongside cars and buses down Cookman Avenue. Before we were born, horses were commonplace, cantered around without notice. But now an ABC News truck stops, a cameraman exits to film the pair, and the policeman stationed on the opposite corner of the street radios his office for instructions. I do not wait to see if he arrests the horse or tickets the driver. I am glad for a day without gunshots or children pulled from mother's arms, a day dull enough to horse around. At the edge of Wesley Lake, a band plays folk music in the Fest Hall's beer garden. Even without loudspeakers, the sound spills over the city. And if the name Fest Hall conjures the Third Reich, today I let it go. I hum along. The horse flicks its tail. After sundown, I will join the line at Days. Order 2 scoops of coffee chip instead of 1. Light. Sprinkled like salt across the universe, the stars shiver between cold and dark. There's a freezing so profound that even light slows down, but never stops its silent trek. It will not leave, though galaxies tear apart. Taste light as it slips through the dark. And this is the last poem I'm going to read this evening. Obad Winter. Get up. There's something you need to know. The wind rattles the patio door and hoots through that one frame with the loose seal. Outside, trains and trash trucks rumble and roll. The refrigerator, too, vibrates and hums this morning. These songs are for me. The impossibly cold world wishes me good day. The clattering cans asked if I slept well. Get up, put on your coat, your woolen hat, your scarf and gloves, fasten your boots. Breakfast can wait. There's something I want to show you right now. Thank you very much.
Bravo, bravo, that was beautiful. Thank you, Jessica. And next up is Hamdi Mohammed. Let's all hear it for Hamdi.
Hello, everyone. My first two poems are about my grandmother who passed away this time last year. So those are the first two poems, and I'll see where else I can go from there. They're kind of long. And also, Ayeyo means grandmother in Somali, so I just wanted to let you guys know. Dear Ayeyo, it has been 1 year since your passing. Every now and then the ache grips me. I miss the quiet peace of your smile. The brown hands lined with prayer beads, you taught me the language of silence, and that only fools speak with no meaning. You showed me the ifteen of Fajr and the swiftness of Maghrib, the only one who viewed my sweaty palms a blessing. May dua that every sin be wiped away, like each bead of sweat. So many lessons I forget, the chamber is empty. The moon has dimmed, and every morning I wonder if Allah has placed you under his shade, if the favored one has favored you. I pray that you enter the abode of the righteous, and I might just see the flutter of your eyes. Second poem is called August 2020. Summer ends in a puff of heat, tight waves, oven's breath, perfume. And I'm anxious in September, shaken and weary, tired of apprehension and missed chances. What's the chance that this year will return the rug under my feet? What's the chance that old wounds aren't camouflaged as new beginnings and old memories stay out of reach? I see your face and my stomach turns south. I remember our last conversation, how you kept praying and I was rushing away. And nothing's wrong with prayer, I just never realized it was the last I'd hear of her. When I visit her, I will send her my salam. Paint them in half moons, luminous like the brown eyes I will never forget. Next poem is called Home. Home is an olive tree, firm yet bends into palms ripe with hunger. Like our mother Eve, the crooked rib is looking to nest. In warm folds of acceptance, in the quiet grove of trees, I believe in the earth, I belong in eternity. The next poem is called My Beloved. I drink with the rising sun and pray for lead feet to become feathers, for dandelions to flutter in springtime dew, for tinkling laughter, for you, for you. Your existence is beloved, your image is beloved. The next poem is called Aleph. Aleph means destiny. You are the night sky, remote and immense. The ant marvels at the touch of light. I search for squirrels in the tree of life. I wonder if my name is tied to yours, if our feet will meet at the crossroads. My fingers fall asleep, tracing patterns upon the melanin sheet, the veins deep with longing. I extend my hand to your dreams. I will revisit your face in my sleep. And this is my last poem. I'm wondering how much time I have. But I'll try to.
You have 2 minutes. You're making very good time. Don't worry.
Excellent, thank you. All right, this is my last poem. Ghazal for Lost Country. Black ash trailing clouds, the sky formidable in its pain. Pillars ravaged, homes defiled, how the women wail with pain. Mothers begin anew, English split from their mouths, in confused anguish. Somali poems soothe the pain. My mother spoke of Mogadishu with brown eyes, pearls stripped from her mouth. The aftertaste of pain and regret, carried always. No understanding these American children. The barrier divides the womb. Mothers resigned in quiet pain. How to teach belonging, how to translate country. Civil War scars and muzzle trauma, aching farewell pain. Our home is exile, phantom limbs cry out for old skin. Tribal elders have lost their way, hands etched with bleak pain. Who am I? I am born uncertain and shadowed, facing both east and west, waived all rights to pain. Owing to my possession of a round American belly and magic passport, I've been assigned to meet my pain. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Hamdi. Next up is Dennis Nurksey.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the organizers. Going to read a poem called Order to Disperse. Order to Disperse. Tonight, my children are facing live ammunition. One holds a rock, one brought a Bible, one hides a phone. The fires of the provocateurs burn so brightly. The police put duct tape over their badges. The soldiers are hooded. They wear no insignia. Last night they had rubber bullets. Tonight, hollow point. In the smoke, you see the outlines of a bank, a cathedral. Absent as the faces of presidents on coins. A voice advances, a voice retreats, someone aims. Have you ever died in a dream? What happened then? Tell me what happened. There is only one life. Why do I hold mine like water in cupped hands? This is a poem set on Rikers Island where I used to teach. It's called The White Prisons. The kids ask, it's a prose poem. The kids ask, do you also teach in the white prisons? There are white schools, white libraries, white hospitals, churches, parks, and ball fields. Why wouldn't there be white prisons? Snow pulses in a tiny barred window, an idea at once vague and obsessive. The kids have been writing their poem. It starts with the blank page, a doodle in the margin, but soon you are a child in the streets. Oily slush seeps up through the soles of your Nikes. You pass a Burger King, Zion Redeemer, the ironworks under sleet. Pitkin Avenue does not go all the way to morning. The white Lexus appears out of nowhere. Where to run? Icy stoops, steel-shod doors. I expect to live another 3 years, maybe 2 and 6 weeks, 6 weeks and 7 days, probably to my 19th birthday. It happens every night in my mind. The long street, the hour before dawn, the white Lexus, my enemy's face in the tinted window, so familiar, so masked. I used to teach in prison, and the kids had very specific ideas of exactly how long they would be on earth. The last poem is called Showers. It's dedicated to my daughter. Showers. The child tells me, put a brick in the toilet, don't wear leather, don't eat brisket, snapper, or farmed salmon, not towels, orders. Doesn't she know the sluice gates were left open and 1 trillion gallons wasted just for the dare of it? Until the staring eye shares that thrill confessing, I am just iris and cornea, blind spot where brain meets mind, the place where the image forms itself from a spark, image of the coming storm. But the child waits outside the bathroom with the watch she got for best essay, muttering, 2 minutes too long. Half measures, I say. She says action. I say, I'm one man. She says, 7 billion. If you choose, the sea goes back. Thank you.
Beautiful. Oh my God, Dennis, thank you so much. That was amazing. All right, next up is Samuel Ace. Let's hear it for Samuel.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone who organized this. I wasn't able to be here last year. It's really happy to be here. I'm in reading from Tucson, Arizona, where I came to weather the pandemic. These are the unceded lands of the O'odham and Yaqui. The first poem I'm reading is from my most recent book, Our Weather, Our Sea. It's called These Nights. I've left the door open to the vision coming through the dark. His arms filter through the flowered ceiling, unsealed from the jeweled tree in the window. His organ hurtles through the air into the pond where I search for a mirror and some softer chalk. A surface so pliable, so dug and raw that the baby's breathy touch, the wind, some creosote so faint, begs the otter to swim on this, my first and last day. But it's early morning in someone else's house. Out the window, a New England dawn, mist on the green and turquoise bed, the pound of feet upstairs, then a rush of cold air. A walk down the stairs, a winter relationship, or a pact of privacy before the lights come on. What's left is the result of criminals. The orange, a rendering, some thready hope that the white man lost, but he did not lose. Could it not be night again? A boy, his beard, his hat, the only intact, orange intact inside our bed, our hold heading down as if it were a normal day, when our viewing habits were not caught public on the street. How did they know? Did I somehow tip them off? First, they took my sweater, then the card with his name. When stumbling, they marched us down the long hauled building to a cell, the blood fountain where soon I even lost the ocean smell of wind in the afterrot rushing from the open doors of trains. These are some more recent poems. There's so much I don't remember. I wake up hopeful, a whole house attached to these little rooms, waiting to be open. I wander untethered, but he's up, and soon I will have to turn back. We hold ourselves as occupy and wonder what gathering settles into our heat, the making of a child who rushes through water and providence toward us, mother of teeth and sea, an open mouth, a constant smell, a room as yet unknown, a dream altered from what can be seen when we walk into trees. I sit in the dark. I sit in the dark, a tiny sliver of morning as the days walk toward solstice and the lights on the screen turn off, not burdened by another grief. The day ahead, a lonely worker who leaves a well of perfect hours, tonal, like the sound of water under a skylit bathroom. The whole earth grinding into the whole earth, kitchen pots, trucks, and front loaders sentient like driverless cars, songs that sing into me as I sink into the couch, my life no longer a show, a restlessness or a war that boils time, no longer the angry apparition who charges through the door of the white-blue room. These are not recent griefs, but signs of gratitude as I open my eyes and wake, awake. My spouse and I just very recently, over the last couple months, had a baby. And these were written in that time. I give myself the same 7 minutes and close my eyes inside the old refrigerator hum that takes the contents of my heart and pours them into the morning. I think to make something as precious as you, so my fingers begin to perform, but I hate to perform. So my hands rebel and take me back to bed to be with you, new creature of this world, so much like a tree or closer to a sapling or a seed. Your entire life manifests in the silence of the bedroom and the whoosh of your heart. In your rest, I touch your side and you already know to stretch into my hand, eyes wide open, as serious as the eucalyptus on the corner of the house 2 doors down. You stare at and through me to where no one and nothing performs. Dear daughter of creation, how do you know to do this? How does a seed know the largest branch, the respiration of the planet? The winds have no regrets when they tear the roofs off the new houses on the west coast of Cape Breton. Houses that have paid no abeyance to the sweats or the crossbeam construction of roofs that have survived for 100 or more years in the wild eruptions between Gulf and mountain. Limbs startled in a moral reflex reach up hard and fast as if to catch the speeding air. Air, my carrier pigeon and tornado, my travel vehicle, my sentinel, no sentiment or nostalgia for the loamy earth. Yet here you are, Lodestar and Gemini, with Taurus rising and a Capricorn moon, dense with the weight of liquid feldspar and obsidian. You hold me to the earth, our mutual Gemini winds blowing through the after rain, reminding us to remember the waters of our birth and the gravities of the sea. I think that's it. Is that my time?
Yep, you've just hit 5 minutes precisely.
Oh,
All right.
excellent.
Samuel, thank you so much. Thank you. That was really, really beautiful. And the final poet for this set is Jessica Bozek. Let's hear it for Jessica.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to read 3 new poems. The first one is called Lost Constellation. And I became really interested in constellations that used to exist that were revised out of the sky over the years. Lost Constellation. Without drugs, I lack the imagination it takes to look up and see an animal in a scattering of stars. Rotate the shapes and a different bird emerges. Solitaire, thrush, mockingbird, owl. Pictures overlapped as astronomers competed to colonize the southern sky. One autumn evening in 1822, Hydra's tail became a perch and Noctua appeared. Words crowd the star lines as the child crowds the mother. I need a bowl. I need a sky. I can't wash the cherries myself, she complains. Someone always gets the last word. The owl, now a ghost space on a changed sky map. All right, this next poem is also a grandmother poem like Hamdi's, and it is set in Poland and a little bit closer in Lowell. Assemblages of light she brought with her and constructed anew. Burn the store, the church, the school, the fields, the fruit trees. Cut down more trees for barracks. Place the barrel of a rifle against a teenage girl's temple. Turn her house into a hospital for soldiers. Force her family into the basement until they run out of food. Sing songs in a strange language at night as the remaining chickens wander the yard. 50 years later, she'll still feel a coldness on her left temple. She'll remember those Russian songs. New gray hairs catch the light, a light I want to tug out of her. The pet bee in a tinfoil nest on a kitchen windowsill, window cracked for the bee to come and go, daily buzzing in the space between glass and screen. The rye bread with a slick of sour cream sprinkled with sugar, immigrant after-school snack, interplay of sour and sweet. The unauthorized biographies of glamorous women, Elizabeth Taylor, Jackie O, Princess Diana, shining the light of their farther reaching lives. The city bus drivers she dressed up for, carbon paper rubbed over her graying temples, big sunglasses ready to greet the paparazzi at Demoulas, the grocery store chain that became Market Basket, working class staple fetishized by hipsters once the immigrant was gone from its name. The boxes of saltines, jugs of apple juice, cans of tuna behind a thick curtain to keep the light out. The sky red in her head after the planes flew low. All right. And one final poem, and to me, this feels so naive now. It was written when I thought we were kind of entering the almost ending pandemic world. But I guess it's also hopeful, and I think we need hopeful poems right now. So the only reference you might need to know is that FBI in this poem stands for firm believer in. The day we took our faces out again. Once upon a time we held on and found another time. The air had staled around our snouts. We felt frozen in an ice block of virus in the four walls of our homes, grabbing scummy hair in the shower drain with tweezers, scissors, toilet paper. Our breath sat heavily like a rancid fog we let escape when we were far away from others. We gasped at less polluted air during those seconds we told ourselves they'd be safe from our fog. We asked our friends, "What does your face look like?" Now we pass into this phase of smiles, direct one even at the Trump supporter in an FBI Jesus trucker hat. We move through the spring air, let the dog sniff slowly, see the three hearts of sorrel everywhere, the cherry blossoms seeming to stay on their limbs longer to celebrate the return of our faces. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jessica. And we are just about done with this hour. I'm going to go back to gallery view. And I want to thank everyone that read during this hour. We have Kat Dossett, Richard Hoffman, Melissa Christine Goodrum, Christine Tierney, Jessica DeKonik, Hamdi Mohammed, Dennis Nursky, Samuel Ace, and Jessica Bozek. Next up in our next hour, which will be starting after a short break, are Gail and Batchelder and Judson Evans, Carol Weston, Lloyd Schwartz, Lori Lubeski, Bridget Eileen, Florine Melnick, and Erin Bells. Thank you all for this beautiful hour, and we will see you again soon. I'm going to end the streaming now, and we can wrap up. Yay. Whoops, hold on, let me